Hey, Sav.
Hey Shay and bonjour brand connoisseurs. Welcome to the Art of Branding podcast on the Team SCG podcast network. So Shay, rate your day with minimal context.
7.
7. Okay, pretty consistent.
I'll
That's
take it.
nice. Yeah, no, I would say that's pretty sweet.
What about you?
I would say an 8.5.
Sounds like a good day in our neck of the woods.
I got to spend a lot of time with you, talking with you today, if you will.
We have spent quite a lot of our time together.
Quite a lot of our time together today, but I think that puts us in a great place to just ask, hey Shay, like, what is the elephant in the room today?
It's a good one. I love this conversation, but it's all going to be centered around how do you choose people to lead your leaders? Something that I think way more people should consider.
Absolutely. I think that especially with where we're at as far as, we keep our goalpost keeps moving. And
You could say that again.
it's just something that like we didn't even necessarily know that we needed. And I think that we can kind of speak to how we landed in a place where we realized we needed a board of directors, a formal board of directors, who our board of directors are, and then what that like actually means in translation. I think that that's probably like a good roundabout way to kind of speak to the relationship of our board of directors and, how we choose the leaders who lead our leaders.
Yeah, I agree. And it's going to be fun for us to kind of do this episode and then have everyone start to meet the board of directors as we bring them into the podcast. We already had our episode with Ashley and, I think that was super interesting, but there's a lot of dynamics in this team and it's made a big difference for us. And we didn't even have this thought or anything built out even 2 years ago. So it's very new for us. And it's something that I feel like was a huge difference maker. So excited to get into it.
Absolutely. So I guess without further ado, like let's just cut right into it. Who are our board of directors? Aside from, we just, as you mentioned, spoke with Ashley in an episode or two ago.
Yeah. I don't know when this one will
time flies when you're having fun. But as far as, the audience got a little idea of who she is. I mean, she's a big industry titan that has a lot of internal experience, starting from, being a distributor, being on the distributor end, to then working for a software company, to then becoming the CEO of the software company that then a bunch of distributors run their businesses through, and then building out a buying group and all that stuff. So she's faced a lot of the challenges that, we're going through, but has also seen it in so many different other circumstances as well. So she was obviously very, very, very helpful. But how, like, who else are we working with here?
Yeah, so we'll touch on her a little bit more, but the board of directors was first and foremost established because from mainly an accountability perspective, right? So I think that what's really important is to talk about why. Why would you do something like this? Why would you bring in more opinions? Why would you bring in more people that essentially are directly responsible for keeping your leaders accountable? That sounds, on some sides, it sounds like a nightmare, right? Because now you have more and more people to answer to and more dynamics coming into a very colorful organization already. So I think our why was that we needed guidance more than anything else. We needed people who have been where we are. For us, these are uncharted territories, but for our board, they're very much not. And me specifically in my journey, I'm so young in my chair that I have a lot to learn, and I have never been shy about that. If I'm not learning, I am just wilting away, and I hate that. So
would you say evolve or die?
Yeah, always evolve or die. But I think that was like the first realization was like, okay, so my family holds the majority of the executive positions in the company. We're not going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to bring in all of these different C-levels to come in and guide us. So what are you left with? It's consulting, it's coaching, which we've talked about, which I believe in 100%. I'll die on that hill. I drink that juice all day. But the other side of it is establishing a board of directors that is responsible for the well-being of the company and helping us drive and enforce the direction of the company and where we want to go. So I think once we understood that it was necessary, then we became way more open to it. And it started for us middle of last year, I would say, with Chuck Vandos, who was the first member of our board.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of helped us establish what is now known as our board of directors.
And I think that he was also at the forefront of bringing an outside perspective into the business, like pulling back the curtain. And we'll have a whole episode with him. He's awesome.
No,
But
there's just so much. I mean, he's an industry veteran.
Yeah.
Everyone knows his name, who he is, what he's done, and there's a reason. So
exactly. And you
having
guys
that.
felt comfortable enough to peel back the curtain, you know,
Mhm.
not be just who you are and how you present to the world, but rather to, you know, take a slice of humble pie and show him like this is us,
Yeah.
actually, but then have him be able to come in and provide that sound advice as a third party perspective, but also as somewhat of an insider as well.
Yeah, that part was really scary, I think, because we're a family business and there's a lot of personalities, dynamics, things that, you know, I'm sure nobody wants their family drama aired out to anybody. That's not a fun thing. That's not a fun place to be in. But when, with our growth and everything that was happening, the tensions were high. We all were fighting for the same thing. We all wanted the same thing, but we all had different ideas on how to get there. And we didn't have anyone to balance us out. We're all family. So at the end of the day, gloves are off. We're going for the throats. And it's not a good place to be in because we're succeeding, but it didn't feel like our family was in as good of a place as we should be with the business success. So Chuck coming in was a neutral person that every single member of our team and family respected immensely. I mean, he has this authoritative, expert opinion on almost everything that we wanted to talk about, and it just brought a level of peace when he weighed in. So he's always been a friend. Him and my dad have a great relationship. He is a huge reason why we decided to join Facilis. I have nothing but amazing things to say about him. So having him honor us by being willing to be part of our board was a game changer for us. And it showed us that, like, if we can depend on and if we can lean into some of the guidance of people like Chuck, our growth capabilities and our potential shoots through the roof at that point.
And you also had to feel good about the fact that, like, even though you peeled back the curtain and showed him kind of what you were working with, that he still saw all the potential that, you know, is there, that we see, of course, on the day to day, but to have somebody to be able to not only see the chaos, but to see like, oh wow, there's some real value there to extract. Like that's,
We absolutely did. He
that's
joked with me a
amazing.
couple times. He's going to send me his therapy bill, which is totally fine. I justified all the way. But it was a lot. And you know what? It was really instrumental for us as a family because we all got to evolve ourselves to be able to have a discussion with someone who's not part of our family. And we could, you know, have the same behaviors that we've been having and you know, just fight it out, or we can sit at the table and figure out like the overarching goal and then all the different ways that we could get there. And then Chuck was able to help us figure out what the outcome will be every direction that we go. So that was our intro to it. And it was monumental for our company. And then we got way more comfortable with having outside opinions because of him.
Yeah.
So,
and Chuck also then took time to work with everybody on the leadership team as well.
Exactly.
And so like
he didn't just focus on our family, he focused on the players we had in the company and how they could be developed. And that was game changing for me too, because I thought that I was developing people, but then I watched him a little bit and I got to learn so much on how much further you could go on that side.
Absolutely.
I think that was the start though, right? So we get comfortable with him coming in with an outside opinion, and we say more. We want more of this. We want more of the collaboration. We want more expertise. We want more support. And then Ashley joins at that point. And that was, we talked about this and her episode already aired, but that was monumental for us on the sales side, right? So Chuck was focusing on the family dynamics and the operations of our business, which needed a lot of help and a lot of building. Focused a lot with you on the business development side and what we were doing with marketing.
We had a lot of quality time, and I mean,
some amazing ideas. I think had a huge piece in our tagline, the branding.
Huge. I mean, you could say predominantly him.
Exactly. He helped us bring on our vice president of operations, which I needed so badly. And then once all of that was kind of like underway, we wanted to tackle the other side of it, which is the front end and everything else that was happening. So that's when it was divine timing that Ashley was able to join us on the consulting journey, and very naturally and organically ended up on our board of directors because of that. And that was, I think, a pinnacle point for us because we now have two huge players on our team that we didn't have before. And they're all rooting for our success, and we all have the same vision, the same goals. And now I have the expertise behind me.
And they were two, I mean, we've kind of touched on this, but there were two people from art and media industry that, you know, were highly respected and highly, you know, coveted per se. And so that was just so valuable to have them choose to be a part of us.
Yeah, exactly. And we realized that experts from outside the industry are also just as valuable. And our most recent ad was Brian Gershengorn, who is an attorney, a labor law attorney for Fisher Phillips, giant law firm. And, you know, we'll have an episode on him too, but that was something that also changed the game for us because they're used to working with Fortune 500, Fortune 100, just really big companies where they've seen this, they've seen it, done it, you know.
And they've seen it at scale.
Right.
Whatever we're dealing with is small peanuts. I mean, they are large peanuts to us, but it's small peanuts to these large corporations that he's dealing with day in and day out. So he's able to provide such a valuable perspective because he's able to look at it from a bird's eye view and say, okay, like this is how we get through this, which is something that's very, very valuable, as well as he had a really close relationship with your father.
He did. And him and my father have been best friends since I was a little girl. His father actually used to work at our company, and that's where the relationship started. Unfortunately, he passed away. And when he passed away, that's when him and my dad got very, very close. And he'd always been rooting for us and consulting, like on the side, pro bono, very quiet, you know.
First call.
Yeah, like what's going on? Down. And, you know, what's your thought here? Talk to me about this. And was always directing us. And he was a neutral voice he understood my perspective. And, you know, I always have this conversation of like Gen 1 versus Gen 2 because it's hard. We come from very different sides of the fence. So
yeah.
He always understood my perspective, but also understood my dad's perspective and was able to be that happy medium. And it was really helpful, not only with the expertise that he brings in, but having this another trusted, almost neutral party that has the validity behind him because of his work and what he's done, and then takes something like our company, who he's personally connected to and wants to see us grow and wants to see us succeed. And now he has a voice on it, and what he brings to it is incredible.
And again, it's one of those things, he wanted to participate. And like his experience is so valuable because, I mean, just to be able to have somebody that you can give a call to with, especially as our team grows. And, you know, that also comes with just more dynamic, like
Absolutely.
labor circumstances and whatnot. And to have somebody's like brain in which you can pick is amazing, as well as having somebody that has an additional network to then be able to leverage and rely upon. That, like, obviously you bring somebody in for your board of directors for their like immediate experience and expertise and all those things, but who do those people know?
Exactly. And then the other side of this is my family that, you know, as we grew and as I will go through my career journey and continue to rise in my role, where does everybody else fit in, right? Like my dad, who was my chair, you know, he was leading our sales team. He was the CEO of our company. Now it's my turn. What does that look like for him? So him being our president and on our board is such an impactful role for him because I'm accountable to him at this point, and the rest of the board, obviously. So he, my uncle, who's also our CFO, but sits on our board, and then my brother, who actually no longer works for our company and works for a completely different company outside of it, but still sits on our board and has that involvement on that side, is just, we figured out the rhythm and the dynamic of what it's going to take to work for not only our business as a family, but the business and the growth projection that we're trying to hit. So now we have family representation where we all know what we're all shooting for. And then we have non-family representation that knows what's possible. And they are all responsible for directing me and leading my path and my journey. And that's who I'm accountable to. So I know everyone sees an org chart and sees that, you know, I don't report to anybody, but that just couldn't be further from the truth. And I report to the board, and the board is responsible for, you know, making sure that all of our leaders are doing their job. And I think that's way more empowering than anybody gives it credit, because when your leadership team is accountable to people and supported, the entire company is accountable and supported.
No, I think that that's the truth of the matter is it all comes back to accountability because at some point, since we have just grown immensely, it was a completely different ball game in which we were playing, and you guys were just reporting to yourselves, and
We're trying to
there's
figure it out.
and that's yeah, and that's just part of it. But then as we continue to grow, like there is a level of accountability that now we need to incorporate into our business model much more than we ever had to before because I mean you've said it before but like the game in which we're playing the stakes are so much higher so like problems are much more expensive than they once were and much more like there's so much more at stake that we never even had to consider. So
I think that was the biggest impact for me for sure is like when you think about all of the different steps that I've had to take so far and the decisions that I've had to make in order to support the growth and what the team needs, it's a scary chair to sit in. And I say that as humbly as I possibly can. I am everyone's, I'm everyone's go-to for all of the things that need figured out. And there's times where I'm scared to take the next step because I don't know if my gut instinct is right. I only know what I know so far. And having this board behind me that I can go to ahead of time and say, here's what I'm thinking. This is the direction I want to go. These are the problems I'm trying to solve. What do you guys think? It's not always, yeah, go. You're on a right track. It's, hey, I don't think you thought about this side. And I don't think you thought about the fact that if you do this, then this happens. And then if that happens, then this happens. And that's something that like by the end of it, regardless of what step I'm going to take or what direction I'm going to go, I have these huge, experienced, intelligent people that are telling me this is the right direction and we've gone through all the circumstances, we've gone through all the options. Move.
Yeah, you're no longer rolling the dice. And I mean, I respect your gut instinct, and I think that you have amazing instincts, which is why I, drink the Kool-Aid, and that's why I follow you to end of the earth. But like to also then run these decisions by people that are very, very qualified to make these decisions, have made these decisions times 10, a million, before
They've seen
it
Our
validates, it validates you so much more in making these decisions, and you are able to step into it with so much more confidence, knowing that it's not just your instinct, it's not just a feeling.
Yeah. I think for us, it's all, everything that we're doing is uncharted territory, right? But for them, they've been there, they've done that. They know what this looks like. And it gives me specifically in my role a level of confidence that I needed with our growth and with everything that was going on. Imposter syndrome is so real. And I will, I think, constantly face it. And it's a good thing because you want to keep growing and putting yourself in these places and positions where you're like, what am I doing here? But having that guidance, having that background, even down to Barry, David, and Josh, who all have different perspectives in addition to Ashley, Chuck, and Brian that we just talked about. But the six of them that make up now this board each offer something unique from a perspective that I need. And I feel very confident that they're each in their own lane and we don't have a lot of overlap in terms of who's good at what.
Because there is that piece of it too where you want diversity of experience coming into it, but also you don't want the same opinion in the room,
just
over and over again.
Just as beneficial as this was for us, it definitely could have gone the other direction if we weren't careful on who we're putting on this board. Because at the end of the day, these people are directing the top of your company. They are helping set the decisions in motion. They're helping set the course for what the company is going to look like. And it's new for us. This is something that we're all still adjusting to. But I think it's really impactful for the entire team to know that the decisions that we're making are not on a whim. This is not stuff that we just dreamt up last night. We came in here to shake everybody up. We're literally doing things that have been, talked about, vetted, discussed, analyzed, and now we feel like it's the best direction for our company and we're confident enough to move forward. And that's a big thing because my dad taught me a long time ago, and it stuck with me, but you can make a good decision or you can make a bad decision, but making no decision is not an option.
Yeah.
So that is always going to be on my shoulders in the sense of I have to be able to make a decision. And this gave me the courage and almost like the wind beneath my wings to do so with my head up high, knowing that not everything that I want to do is going to go perfectly, but I have the support now on the back end and I have the confidence to say that we did our diligence before we do anything.
Yeah, and that you're equipped to figure it out. Everything is figure outable in the end, and deciding upon your decisions and figuring out like what to do once you make that decision is just so much a part of it, and that like builds tough skin and all the things. Um, so would you venture to say that at this point, like you're getting more better sleep at night, knowing that knowing
Oh
that
yeah.
you're able to, have that additional level of support?
It's not only the sleep, it's the excitement. I'm genuinely energized and excited about the fact that we have this level of support on our team and that they would even care or want to do this with us. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
their pride in our success is so humbling to me because it's like just all I ever want to do is make them proud. I mean, obviously I want to make my dad and my uncle and my brother proud, but now I have these three other people that could be spending their time anywhere else if they want. Like literally anyone would die to have their
literally anywhere.
contribution.
Yeah,
Right?
literally anywhere else.
That's a something for me to always keep in the back of my head, and I'm always striving to reach the goals and they believe in me, and that makes me believe in me, and it's a good place to be in. So yes,
Well,
a lot more sleep.
we love to see it, Shay. We love to see it.
Thanks, Sav.
And then we'll start to bring them on more and more as far as Chuck and Brian. And then
You're going to get a lot of the family. We're going to get Josh on here, and I think what I would just encourage for everyone to think about is like, what do you have to lose with this? What's a negative impact? Is it, more opinions? Is it more of everything? Yes. But like, if you don't have a board of directors, or if you don't have people that you are leaning into for guidance and advice who have already been in a territory that you have not, I think you should reconsider. And I think that you should look at what this could do for you from a long-term perspective, because for us, I think it's truly a make or break moment.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that, even if you have like a formal board of directors or even just people that you can seek advice from in your own personal network, I think that that's very, very crucial.
I don't know why, but people are afraid to ask for guidance. I think it, a lot of times, and I went through this where I'm like, I don't want to come off weak. I don't want to come off unsure. I don't want to come off as someone who isn't confident in myself. And as soon as I got over that, I was so much stronger in my role, because I'm not supposed to have it all figured out. I was about to say 29 years old.
We're not 29 anymore.
I'm 30 years old. Like, I have so much to learn. You know what I mean? And I think I had to get over that fact of like thinking that I'm supposed to know what to do every step of the way. I'm not. There's no way. And if that's the case, then we'll never grow, because I'm only going to be able to do what I know how to do. So the board of directors for us was that way to continue to evolve, continue to grow, continue to look at what's next. Like, once you accomplish your goals, it's really important that you have people encouraging you to set new goals. And you said it at the beginning of our of this episode, is like, our goal metric is always changing.
Absolutely. And I mean, I can speak to that at length, as far as, just, I know you have your board of directors meetings and, contribute to them and whatnot, but like, even for my chair, being able to go through my own unique issues and having different people to call on and say, hey, like, this is what I'm going through right now. Like, a big piece of my journey up to this point was as an individual contributor to the company. And so having to now not only lead a team, but to build
of my leadership team.
Exactly. Build a department and be part of your leadership team. I'm facing so many new circumstances that I didn't have to worry about before, when I was just, worrying about my own individual numbers and all that type of stuff. It's so much more deep now. And to be able to like call on these people at, whenever I need them, it's a huge resource in the leadership team's belt, as well as, of course, yours. And then we're able to show up better for you.
Absolutely.
And, not just kind of go based on our feelings willy-nilly.
We all had to evolve together, right? Like, when I have to present to the board, I need every single person on my leadership team to tell me, like, what does your side of the house look like?
Yeah.
Are we succeeding? Have we hit our goals? And if the answer is no, it's not just no anymore. It's
no.
Why not? And what's in our way? And what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
And I think that challenged all of us to evolve too, because I don't think that anyone could ever understand, unless you were in it, how quickly we had to level up. We went from like sailing, smooth sailing, all is well. This is cool, growing nice, year over year, fine, to like an oh fuck.
Like we're
This is
captaining a very large
This
boat
is
that
quick.
we didn't expect
But
by any
we
means.
all were so willing. We all wanted it. We wanted to evolve. We wanted to
Absolutely.
level up. So once we saw that like this was an option and we could literally sink our teeth into it, everyone bought in right away. And I was so proud of the entire leadership team for them getting on board with our board of directors and helping contribute towards what needs to happen to keep them engaged, because they're not doing this for fun, and their expectations of what we bring to the table is really high, and it's an awesome experience. I have grown so much because of it, and I couldn't recommend more for people to look into it. And the last thing I'll say on this is another one of my great industry friends, Matt Lamb, said to me something that I'll honestly never forget. And this is what kind of led to, I think, the acceptance of a board of directors. But he said, as a person, who do you surround yourself with? Who is your personal board of directors that you lean into to guide you in your life? And I was stumped. And he said, if you don't have that figured out, you're probably going in circles. So it's one of those things where it encouraged me to look at who I'm leaning into on my personal life. And then when I realized that that needed to be firmed up, it was a no-brainer that obviously you need that from a business perspective too. That didn't just come from nowhere. And that it was a monumental moment for me, because
Yeah, it's almost like having like taking care of your own personal therapy and then now having these business therapists per se.
and like thinking, but yeah, it's funny. But thinking about that, and I don't think it's anything I ever thought about before until he asked me that question. And I don't think you'd ever thought about it before I asked you. Like, we have them and we utilize them in our day to day, but we didn't consider them as our personal board of directors. And when you consider somebody like that, the weight of what they say is a lot higher, because these are your people. This is who you depend on. This is who you lean into.
Yeah.
And it's who you trust to help you grow. And you'll also notice really quickly when you're leaning into someone that doesn't match up with maybe some of the other people. And that's how you evolve. You continue to put yourself in a room with smarter people who have been there, done that. And that's what we did with the board of directors. Everybody in that room, everybody at that table has been where I have not been. And that gives me confidence to go there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, they say that your network is your net worth, and like you're a
I
sum of,
believe it.
or you're an average of the five people that you surround yourself with.
I
And
believe
so
it.
that applies personally, but especially as it relates to your business. So 10 out of 10 would recommend a
Yeah, I think
very strong board of directors.
not enough people consider it. And I hope that that's what people can take away from this episode specifically. And I'm excited for everyone to get to know our board more. But it's a huge step, and it's a huge thing that anyone can do for their company to better enhance it.
Beautiful. Well, stay tuned. We will be having the board members on. You can get to know them, get to love them as we do. But make sure you like, subscribe, follow along for all the things to come. And au revoir, brand connoisseurs.
Bye bye.